This video is sponsored by nothing.
Hi everyone, Lily here. How long have you been playing the game right now? Surely you've learned the combat system, right? At this point, I'll assume you've noticed the two distinct playstyles when it comes to dealing damage. There is the good old crit and break damage. Which one is your preferred style? Do you love your crit number? Or, just like myself, do you love to play around with the break system? There's nothing much to say about crit because it's the same in any game. You stack crit stats, get a buffer, bam. However, playing with break is a little bit trickier. If you want to master it though, you've come to the right place. I'll tell you everything I've learned about break. First of all, what is break? Break is a phenomenon in Honkai Star Rail when you deplete the enemy's shield bar to 0. When it occurs, it will trigger the element's special effects such as break damage, break DOT, delay, etc. All those effects can be enhanced by a stat called break effect. So if you decide to focus on break mechanic, break effect is your main stat. It will increase your break damage and break DOT, and it will delay the enemies further for elements with delay effects. The 7 elements aren't built equally when it comes to break mechanics. Some elements do more damage than others but offer nothing else. Some others have extra effects but do less damage. In terms of strength, fire, physical, quantum, and wind are at the top. Then there are weaker elements with excellent crowd control like ice and imaginary. So pick the element according to your needs. Now, moving forward to the gear. Knowing that break is going to be one of the build choices, Hoyoverse has put relic sets specifically for break in the game. First is the Thief set. By using 4-piece of Thief set, it gives you a total of 32% break effect. And the second one is Talia set. It gives 16% break effect. And if your character speed is or above 145, it gives you an extra 20% break effect. So if you want to reach the max potential of this set, you need to pay attention to speed as well. You can either use speed boots or Asta's ultimate. One of the main advantages of break is that it's not affected by attack stat, crit, or elemental damage. However, this build also leaves room for mix-ups. If you want to increase your character's chance to crit, you can put crit rate main stat relic. If you want your character to deal more elemental damage, there's no harm to give them elemental sphere. Break effect is only used when you break the enemy's shield after all. When there is nothing to break, it's better if your character still does decent damage. Next up is game planning. Compared to crit, break playstyle places a great emphasis on turn order. Because the character you stack the break effect on must be the one to break the shield. Therefore, the ability to craft an optimum turn order is necessary. For this one, I can't teach you because it depends on the team and what you fight. You need to learn yourself. However, I can show you an illustration. I'm using this team in memory of Chaos Floor 4. I have Hook, Ching Chui, Natasha, and Dan Heng. As you may already know, Hook and Ching Chui are the ones built with break effect. So how do I do it? Usually my move starts here. Upon initiating the battle, if we attack the enemy with an element they are weak to, their shield will be damaged immediately. You know this. This is already part of my calculations. On paper, it looks good. The shield is already damaged, so you'll be able to break it sooner compared to if the shield is still in full health, right? Well, that's not always the case. If I continue this battle without holding anything back, means I use each skill point to deliver as much damage as possible. See? Dan Heng is stealing the break. Hook is supposed to be the one who break it, but she's still down here. If Dan Heng doesn't hold himself, then I will lose the potential break damage from Hook. This situation is indeed not ideal. I won't say it is a horrible move after all. You can always delay Dan Heng's ultimate until after Hook's turn. But there has to be a better way to do it, right? So let's find it. My solution is to initiate the battle with Natasha's technique instead of Hook's. This enemy is not weak to physical, so the shield is still in full health. Besides, her technique can protect you for one turn. The enemies deal less damage to your characters, and now Dan Heng is not stealing the break with the same rotation. This rotation fine-tuning is the soul of break playstyle. You can't mess it up. To help me with planning the rotation, I use the simulator that I created during CBT3 together with my friend. If you're interested in it, I'll put the link in the description. Even though break and crit playstyle are different, in a team they can coexist. As I have mentioned before, my ideal team comp is counter break DPS plus counter crit DPS plus buffer or debuffer plus healer or tanker. Like this team, for example. My Dan Heng is built for crit, while Hook is break focus. By using both break and crit DPS in the same team, I can keep the DPS stable before and after the shield breaking moment. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention earlier. Besides the break effect stat, your character level also increases break damage by a good amount. Basically, each element has base break damage that increases along with your character level. Then this number is multiplied by break effect stat, DF down, and resistance penetration. So don't be surprised if your level 60 Hook deals less break damage than my level 70 Hook, even though they have the same amount of break effect stat. Now you might be thinking, how viable is break for future content? The answer to that question depends on what direction Hoyoverse will take with Honkai Star Rail. To me, since this is the core mechanics of the game, it has to stay relevant. Like, what's the point of having this system if crit is 10 times stronger and can just ignore the element weaknesses, right? It's nerfed on release, so the damage ceiling is lower than it was in CBT. It's definitely weaker than crit right now. However, Hoyoverse might be planning to release a Harmony character for Break Team. If there's a buffer that can give 100% break effect to allies, that will make Break Team competitive against crit. So it's all up to Hoyoverse. Alright, I think that's all about break system. I hope it's not too confusing to follow. If you still have any more questions, do let me know in the comment below. I'll do my best to answer it. Bye-bye.